Howdy, my lovely schmucks. Another year, another slew of movies ranging in quality. And although I reviewed none of them, I still saw a fair amount of them, and I felt like gushing about the good ones. So here is my personal top 10 list of the top 10 movies of 2019. Again, personal list, my opinion. This isn't me definitively saying these are the best movies of 2019. It's me saying these are the 10 movies that I personally enjoyed the most in 2019. That said, I didn't see every movie this year. So when you don't see The Irishman or Uncut Gems on the list, I didn't see them. Don't get mad at me. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into it. Starting off my list is Triple Frontier. Releasing earlier in the year, this action thriller was surprisingly good, especially for a Netflix movie. The entirety of the cast was fantastic, and the strongest of them being Oscar Isaac, but that's not to undermine the performances of Charlie Hunnam, Ben Affleck, and everybody else. Everybody's good in this movie. The thing I loved the most about this movie, though, was how real it felt. The gunshots sounded real, the action sequences looked and felt visceral, in the sort of Narcos and Atomic Blonde type of way, and I really enjoyed that. This is an awesome movie. It's suspenseful, it's thrilling, it has great performances, it's endearing when it needs to be endearing, and my only flaw with it is the third act drags a little too much, but that doesn't break the movie. It's still one of the best Netflix movies I've probably ever seen, but that's not saying much. Netflix movies are usually shit, so. Taking the number 9 spot is Fighting with My Family. This movie is great. Everyone in this movie is fantastic, Florence Pugh in particular. This movie has a really powerful message. It's got a great script by Hugh Grant, I think it is, and it has hilarious moments. This movie is heartwarming, it's funny as shit, and again, great message. It's a simple movie with a simple premise. It's a real life story, but I really, really liked this movie. This movie was fantastic. What might be some people's number 1 choice sits at number 8 for me, and that is Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame was a cinematic experience for me. I saw Iron Man in 2008, and to see the MCU grow and prosper over 11 years and lead up to Endgame was extraordinary, unmatched. Endgame is wicked fucking good. That was poorly constructed, but you get the point. It's the 3rd best Avengers movie, but it's really not top 5 MCU movie for me. This movie is flawed, and I don't think anyone would deny that, but as a companion piece to Infinity War and a conclusive chapter to the MCU, it's perfect. It does everything it needs to do. Also, the fan service is done properly. So take notes, Kathleen Kennedy. Ready or Not was one of the better horror movies I've seen in recent years. Not necessarily because it's scary, but because it's entertaining as fuck. This movie has a wonderfully dark sense of humor, great kills, and a fantastic performance from Samara Weaving. I also didn't know this movie came out until I saw a review for it, and I was like, oh, apparently it's good. Guess I'll go fucking watch it. It's fucking awesome. I love it. Fantastic. So good. Movie has a great ending too. No spoilers, but the ending is fantastic. Again, this movie is fucking terrific. Not my favorite suspense, scary movie of the year, but definitely one of the better movies I've seen all year, and one of the best horror movies I've seen in a long fucking time. Next up, at number 6, we have a movie that had no right to be good. Never mind be as good as it is. Crawl. Crawl works on a number of levels, from its scenes of suspense, great cinematography, thrilling moments, and solid performances from its pretty much only 2 characters. This movie's fantastic. I've mentioned before that as a Floridian, I enjoy seeing Florida poked fun at in media, but several visceral and realistic alligator attacks happen in this movie, and it just hit me differently. I think it did because I live in Florida, and this movie takes place in Gainesville, which is like 2 hours away from where I live, and that just kind of hit close to home in a really good way. This movie was fantastic. I didn't see this in theaters, I rented it, and I kind of wish I did see it in theaters, because I probably would have gotten a lot more out of it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't negate how good this movie is. And maybe the reason I think it's better than maybe it actually is because it's a fucking ridiculous premise. Hurricane hits, girl has to survive an onslaught of alligators while she's stuck in a flooding house. On paper, that sounds terrible, but it works, somehow. This movie, like I said, did not deserve to be good, and this movie's fantastic. That's why it sits at number 6 on my list. Okay, so now we're in the top 5, and look, I'm just going to come out and say it. Shazam is the best superhero movie of 2019, and it's easily the best movie within the DCEU, and the sequel cannot come fast enough. Not only does this movie work as a superhero movie, and sort of a superhero spoof to an extent, this movie's also a Christmas movie, and it's a damn good Christmas movie. Zachary Levi is an amazing actor, and he's fantastic in this role. He really encapsulates the Billy Batson and the superhero, Shazam kind of side of the character. He does them both fantastically. He's really just a big man-child in this movie, and he plays it perfectly. Jack Dylan Grazer, also fantastic, as kind of the nerdy comic book kind of kid who knows way too much about superheroes, which is a character I can definitely relate to. This movie is funny when it needs to be funny. It's endearing and heartwarming when it needs to be endearing and heartwarming. It's dramatic when it has to be dramatic. This movie is awesome. It's fantastic. And the only problem I have with it is the villains are a little weak. But that's not a big deal. Most superhero movies have shit villains anyway. And this movie happens to not have a great villain, but it's not shit. This movie's awesome. It's fantastic. And that's why it's kicking off the number 5 spot. It's just that good.
Can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Single bound.
Holy crap.
Number 4 is a movie that I just couldn't get out of my head. I saw it twice, and I loved it more the second time, and that's Rocketman. Everywhere Bohemian Rhapsody failed, Rocketman succeeds with flying colors. Not only is this movie boosted by a knockout performance by Taron Egerton, the real star of the show is Dexter Fletcher's directing style. The music sequences alone are just so artistic and beautiful and original, and they're so unique. Everything in this movie is artsy, but never feels pretentious, which is hard to pull off as a director, but Fletcher does it outstandingly. And as an Elton John fan, I fucking love this movie. It's beautiful. This movie is beautiful. At number 3, we're in the top 3 now, boys. At number 3, we have the best action movie of 2019, and that is John Wick Chapter 3. John Wick is one of the decade's best franchises, and the third installment did not disappoint on any front. Although this movie is probably the weakest of the 3, in my opinion, this movie stood out. It's funny, it's action-packed, and the action itself is outstanding. Keanu Reeves shines in this movie as he shines in all walks of life because he's a god. He's so good, and this movie is so good. I could gush about this franchise all day long. 2 is the best one. You can fight me about that. 2 is the best, but 3 is the best action movie of the year, and it's my 3rd favorite movie of 2019. Another movie that I feel a majority of people would put at number 1 only makes it to number 2 on my list. But that doesn't mean I didn't like it, because I love this movie. And this movie is Joker. Joker was excellent, a brilliant film, held up by Joaquin Phoenix's outstandingly amazing performance. This is one of the few movies I've seen in my life with a scene that made me want to applaud. You know the scene. I'll put it in footage, but you know what I mean. This entire movie, there are only 2 things that I have even a slight issue with. But this isn't the time for that. The point being, Joker is fantastic, and I absolutely love it. We did it. Here we are. Number 1. If you know me in real life, you know what my number 1 is. I've sang this movie's praises ever since I saw it. I have battered people constantly with how amazing this movie is, how much I adore it, and why it is the year's best film. That's right. My favorite movie of 2019 was, and still is, Booksmart. Booksmart is a masterpiece to me. No flaws, not a single joke that falls flat. This movie is perfect. This movie came out right when I graduated high school, so seeing a movie about teenagers in the same boat as me, scared of what the future holds but also excited, really connected with me. This movie has fantastic themes, wonderful performances, excellent camera work, and really relatable and realistic characters. I would love to do a film analysis of why I love this movie so much and really just hone in on what makes this movie as good as I think it is. But that's a video for another day. For now, what's important is that Booksmart is brilliant, and for so many reasons that I just can't get into right now, for me, Booksmart is the best movie of 2019.
I can be the last one on on the plane?
What's wrong with you?
You want to get pancakes?
Fuck yeah, I do. Fuck yeah.
That is it. 2019 is over, and those were the top 10 movies of the year for me personally. I only made content for a few months. I think I made like 5-6 videos in the entirety of 2019. Kind of lame, kind of cringe, but whatever. My goal in 2020 is to make consistent content, so hopefully we can grow the channel a little bit, and I can maybe get 2 more subscribers. That's really the 2020 goal. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. What were your favorite movies of the year? I'm really curious, because there was a lot of good stuff that came out in 2019. I almost put Us on the list. Spider-Man Far From Home came close, but not quite. I don't know. Whatever movies you really enjoyed in 2019, tell me in the comments below. That's it. The year's over, and so's the decade, and I really don't give a shit. So, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoyed it. If you disagree with my list, tell me what you disagree with, and you can fucking yell at me in the comments for it. That's kind of it. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Hope you have a fantastic day. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in 2020.